All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here to listen to presentations from this wonderful group of social entrepreneurs and to help celebrate their progress over the last 9 months. My name is Katrina Becker, and I'm the manager of the fellowship program. The Innovation Fellowship Program is committed to making our world a better, more equitable place by investing in community leaders who are working on systemic change through social entrepreneurship. The events of 2020 make work like this more important now than ever. We are reminded once again of the deep inequality experienced throughout the country and here in Minnesota especially, and how our systems are failing Black Americans, Indigenous communities, people of color, and many other marginalized groups. There's now a renewed sense of urgency and momentum in this moment that demands that these systems be reimagined and rebuilt. Deep and lasting social change is incredibly difficult and must include work in all sectors, civic, public, and private. The FINnovation Fellowship Program is designed to support aspiring entrepreneurs who are already leaders in their communities and in their areas of expertise. The fellowship combines leadership development and entrepreneurial skill, encouraging everyone to experiment with using business principles to address social problems in innovative ways. The fellowship is the brainchild of Jackie Berglund, who is the founder of Finnegan's Brew Co., which is one of the longest running social enterprises in Minnesota and has been donating 100% of profits to community hunger relief since the early 2000s. Jackie was the recipient of a Bush Fellowship in 2014, which she used to develop the idea for FINnovation Lab and the fellowship program overall. Since its inception in 2018, the FINnovation Fellowship has been made possible through generous support from the Bush Foundation, which is known for its commitment to innovation and creative problem solving. So through this program, fellows receive curriculum designed to help them grow as leaders and build their entrepreneurial skill set, workspace at FINnovation Lab so that they can work with and alongside other entrepreneurs, mentorship, coaching, and a living and healthcare stipend so that they're able to participate in the program and work on their idea full time. I want to take this time to thank all the mentors, curriculum partners, and selection committee volunteers for all the time and support that they've given these entrepreneurs and the program itself. The fellowship truly would not be what it is without them. I also want to thank the friends and family members of the fellows who have stuck by their side and supported them through all of the ups and downs this past year, and who will continue to do so for all of the ups and downs to come as they continue on their entrepreneurial journeys. Starting a company is never easy, and statistically, only 50% of new businesses survive the first 5 years. This is why we are investing in leaders who can recognize opportunity, innovate, and collaborate to directly impact systemic issues, whether through this business venture or another. We at FINnovation Lab are proud to introduce the second cohort of FINnovation Fellows. We hope that you are not only inspired by their work, but move to action. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a quick overview of how this will all go. Each fellow will give a 5-minute presentation. Once everyone presents, we will then have a moderated Q&A panel with the fellows at the end. You can enter your questions for the fellows into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen at any point throughout the presentations or during the Q&A, and we will try to answer as many questions as we can at the end. These presentations will be recorded, and you'll receive a follow-up email with a link to the recording and contact information for each of the fellows, so that you can reach out to them directly if you like after this. And with that, we will go ahead and get started. Our first presenter will be Alicia Price with the Price Dynamic. Unfortunately, Alicia couldn't be here in person because her son is heading off to college, which is super exciting, but we will kick it off with her recorded presentation. So.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alicia Price, and I'm the CEO and founder of
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna just quick adjust the volume on this. All right, sorry everybody, I don't know why we're having some technical difficulties with that. Of course, that happens. It goes fine beforehand and then doesn't work. So Shannon, if you are ready right now, we will move on and we will try to play Alicia's video at the end. So here I'm going to introduce Shannon T.L. Kearns with Uprising Theater Company.
Over 50% of transgender men will attempt suicide during their lifetime. And if it hadn't been for two key interventions, I probably would have been one of them. Trans children and youth are attempting suicides at very high rates, not because being transgender makes you suicidal, but because living in a world where there are no structures to support you and no examples to follow is incredibly difficult. My name is Shannon T.L. Kearns, and I'm the founder and artistic director of Uprising Theater Company. Our mission is to create possibility models for transgender youth and make sure that every youth has a supportive adult in their life. Using theater to compel change and create empathy in cisgender adults, Uprising Theater Company connects art to action. Through our work, we increase access in theater for transgender and non-binary playwrights and artists. In college, I discovered theater and it saved me. It gave me a place to work out my questions about life, community, sexuality, and gender. It gave me connections with adults who accepted me and looked out for me. But as I made my way in theater and underwent my transition, I began to see that there wasn't much space for me in the theater community. Not only that, but the stories that were being told about my community were creating narratives around transgender identity that were false, focused only on medical transition, and often were stories of death and hopelessness. Uprising began in 2015 doing high quality theater around social justice issues and partnering with community organizations to use art to compel action, but it wasn't enough. We've spent the past year clarifying our focus, which will lead us to being able to have more of an impact. We're focusing on plays by transgender and non-binary playwrights, using theater to create empathy in non-transgender audiences. We've discovered that every audience can build empathy, that empathy creates change, and that change can save a life. But even as we've clarified our mission, we realized we were still missing a piece of the puzzle: direct interventions for children and youth. Our plays are filled with adult content and language, and we realized that if kids couldn't come to see them, we still weren't providing them with a vision of a better future for themselves. I want to reiterate, trans children and youth are attempting suicide at very high rates, not because being transgender makes you suicidal, but because they need support and role models. One affirming adult in a kid's life can make a massive difference. Studies have shown that simply having one affirming adult in your life can reduce the risk of suicide for youth by 40%. Our mission is to use theater to equip adults to be that affirming person and to connect trans kids to trans adults. Over the course of this fellowship, my research has shown that no one is doing theater for transgender youth. There are no theater camps that are exclusively for trans youth, even though Minnesota has a high population of trans youth under the age of 18. Our program is twofold. Through our continued main stage productions, we'll increase the amount of affirming adults in our community by using theater as a non-threatening way to open minds and create dialogue. In addition, we're launching a new educational component that will meet children and youth where they are. These educational programs will allow transgender kids to explore gender and theater in a safe and fun space. They'll connect with transgender adults who are theater professionals to learn about acting, playwriting, and all that goes into making a production. These programs will help kids to connect to other kids like them, connect to transgender adults so they can see examples of health and thriving, and be inspired to create their own stories and narratives. These programs have the added bonus of helping Uprising to move toward increased financial sustainability, which will allow our work to grow, deepen our impact, and help us to reach more children and youth. By combining our main stage theater productions to build empathy in adults and our theater education for children and youth, we'll build a stronger ecosystem of support for kids, connect them to caring adults, and change our community. Today, we're asking for your support in 2 ways: to make a donation to our scholarship fund so that every child and teen who wants to attend can afford to, and while you're on our website, to sign up for our mailing list to stay connected to our work. Together, we can make sure that no transgender child feels unloved or unwanted. We can turn the statistics about suicide from astronomical to non-existent, because we all have a part to play. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Shannon. And now we're gonna have Shawnee Grigsby. Shawnee, you're muted.
Turned on the video and forgot the mute button. All right, starting over. Hi, everyone. My name is Shawnee Grigsby, and I'm the CEO and founder of Flavor Cafe. My passion for this work derives from my activism and advocacy for gender and racial equity. And it's also informed by the many mentor relationships that I have held with women of color for many years. I'm a youth work practitioner and scholar by profession with degrees in sociology and youth development leadership. Having been supported by inspirational and resourceful Black women, I was able to envision and actualize goals that once seemed intangible. For me, the mission of Flavor is 3 things. 1, it's personal, because over a lifetime, Black women will lose over $900,000 in income and generally have to work 20 years longer, which means Black women can't retire until they're about 86 years old. This work is also urgent. Equity cannot wait. This issue has persisted for generations. Therefore, I feel the urgency to do what Black women have done for generations. Do it ourselves. And I also believe that this work is a collective responsibility of all of us, because Black women and girls deserve better, and it is a responsibility of the community to ensure that they can not only radically imagine a future that is different for themselves, but also have the opportunity to live it. Minnesota is failing, not only in its education, employment, home ownership, and representative leadership for its Black constituents, we're also failing at creating authentic community and opportunities for small business growth in the Black community. Now, I quickly wanted to share just 2 quick snapshots of the Twin Cities cafe or coffee landscape here. So this first image here is just a general snapshot of all of the cafes locally in the Twin Cities area. And it includes franchises, independently owned shops, as well as craft coffee shops, which in total are about 800 or so shops. This second image here are the African-American owned coffee shops and cafes here in the Twin Cities market, which is less than 1% of the total market in the Twin Cities. So Minnesota schools and companies and businesses are losing vital sources of talent and creativity, and they will continue to do so if these inequities continue to persist. Right now, Flavor is investing in the change for the next generation of Black women and girls by creating employment opportunities where young women who generally don't have access to economic opportunity due to their race, gender, ethnicity, place, ability, or sexuality can have an opportunity to try out some new skills, meet new people, while also receiving mentorship in their work experiences as well. And we will also create an environment that is safe and affirming for these young women to work in. Flavor will also model possibility for young women of color. We will also advance and eliminate disparities, one latte at a time, while propelling young women from coffee to career. Some of you may be asking yourselves, how are you going to do that in a cafe? Or why a cafe? Well, personally, I love cafes. But two, Flavor Cafe is more than a job. Every cup of coffee that is served and purchased develops more skills for these young women. Every skill builds more confidence for these young women, and more confidence increases their opportunities for leadership and advancement towards their pathways to prosperity. And with every dollar earned, one community connection is formed, not only for the cafe, but for the young women themselves. So what's next? Well, currently I am working to secure capital funding to make sure that this dream can become a reality, and also in search of real estate in the Frogtown or Rondo communities. So if any of you on this call today have any resources or suggestions for me, please feel free to reach out to me following this presentation. And on this journey, I've interviewed, surveyed young women and community members to ensure that their voices and their experiences are included. And through these conversations, I've learned a few things. Cafe goers value diversity not only in their workplaces, state and local leadership, but also in their small businesses. And they've asked specifically for Black-owned coffee shops in their neighborhoods, and also want to be included in the design and aesthetic of those locations as well. They're also seeking an opportunity to have really important conversations about issues that are important to them, and also workshops to develop their new skills or to bring their families to participate in. So 9 months ago, I started as a Finn Fellow with the other 8 fellows that are participating on this call today. And I started with just a concept about something that I wanted to do, not really sure how to make it happen. And along the way, I've gained some skills and gained more clarity in terms of my market validation, business management, community partnerships and mentorships, et cetera. And I am now leaving this fellowship CEO ready with an agenda of transformative change for young women that will expose them to leadership and visioning for their futures. Also, I've been able to gain supportive entrepreneurship community and network of peers who I believe are thoughtful, selfless, and innovative. And for that, I thank you, FINLab, and I thank all of you for taking this journey with me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shawnee. And next up is Katie Myrie.
Hi, everyone. Let's see. I never want to follow anyone. So thanks for that, Shawnee. It was a great presentation. Why am I not? There we go. Okay. So my name is Katie, and I'm here to talk a little bit about farming and my Finnovation journey. So Bread Market is a company that's focused solely on farm profitability. We seek innovative market strategies to support ecologically based small-scale farms in reaching emerging markets. Unlike a lot of solutions out there, we don't ask farmers to change and jump through a bunch of loopholes. We're instead focusing on changing the tools they have in their toolbox in order to reach profitability. So given that we're in a pandemic, the word resiliency comes up a lot. The word resilient is not one that I would choose to describe our US food system. There's 9 counties in the nation that are most central to the overall structure of our food supply network. Any kind of disruption, which can be read as pandemic or natural disaster, could affect millions. The other problem with having this massive distribution system that's highly centralized is regions don't have agency in what they're choosing. The other problem is that this food distribution system doesn't equate with farm profitability. Because there's so many links in the chain, farmers are cut out of profitability, receiving only cents on the dollar. This model is archaic, and instead of investing in more distribution and more food hubs and more infrastructure, we try to redirect how that system works. We really believe strongly in the power of direct relationships and short supply chains. The reason we believe in this is they're able to pivot to the needs of society and represent the players in it. And we believe capturing demand data can help drive the decisions that farmers and food system actors make in order to scale regional agricultural supply across the nation and the world. But today I don't really want to talk more about my ideas for my model, because if the fellowship has taught me anything, it's that we as individuals don't know a lot. When we work together, that's when we can really achieve big innovations and big change. So I've been spending a lot of time in the last few months, like many of you, thinking about COVID-19 and how it's affected the everyday decisions that we're making. Media across the nation in the past few months has sung the praises of how COVID has sparked a rebirth in the local farm movement. Farmers left and right are selling out. People are turning inward to their community. If you just read the headlines, you might say, well, Katie, go home, your job's done. Great. Unfortunately, this isn't the case. While a lot of farmers are doing well, we have to look at which farmers those are. And just like every other part of our society, the pandemic isn't bringing us anything new. It's simply magnifying the truth that we have been unwilling to see, and we continue to be unwilling to see. And in our own community, that truth is the disparity between farmers of color and white farmers. The perfect example, or the only example I can really give you in a short 5 minutes, is illustrated through the farmers market that many of us know and love. Minneapolis is known nationally for our robust farmers market scene. We have a super diverse neighborhood makeup of farmers markets, with a farmers market in nearly every neighborhood in Minneapolis. However, with COVID-19, these markets have been pivoting quickly to sell online. And you'll notice this list of farmers at the left, there's a lot of underlined vendors. Those underlined vendors are all of those who are selling online. So the system goes, if you want to go to the market, you purchase products ahead of time and you go to the market and pick it up on Saturday or Sunday and go home. There's a trend across this list of farmers, and there's some vendors in there too, but the trend is that the white farmers, nearly 100% of them, have online presence. On this list, there's 0 farmers of color that have an online presence. And across the metro, less than 1 in 3 farmers of color have an online website. This is merely an example of the reality that farmers have faced at markets since the beginning of farmers markets in general. We romanticize and idealize the white narrative of a liberal arts educated person heading back to the farm and starting this idea of a sustainable farm. We forget the fact that there's farmers of color, immigrant farmers, and undocumented labor that is representing the majority of the labor behind our food system. And this is true not only on these individual farm businesses, but across the nation and the way that we build our relationship and supply chain around food. It's also a cultural problem. These farmers market spaces are oriented heavily around white consumers. This whiteness of the market needs to change, and it doesn't change just by adding farmers of color to the market space. We need to rethink the customers that we're building our promotions around, our dialogues around, and the sustainability narrative that we offer up as the solution for climate change and food system problems. So the question is, what do we do now? There's a lot of work to do, just like anyone who's giving a presentation today will say. The thing that I did with all of this pandemic emerging was I took the things that I knew how to do and I tried to apply them in this reality. So what we did is we launched a multi-vendor platform. I partnered with a local farmers market management company, and we offered a website that we manage and we built for these other farmers that don't have the ability to launch and manage their own. We support them with tailored resources and TA, and I even list products on behalf of these growers so that they can pre-sell for their various market pickups. The work is far from done. This is a great quote I'd like to end with. I know I'm over time, so sorry, Katrina. Thanks for the flexibility. Farm profitability is an issue because we need farmers to keep farming. They're farming culturally relevant products, and they're producing safe, nutritious food for our communities, and they truthfully are the ones that we lean on in times of crisis. So my ask for you all is to pay attention to the markets and systems that you find important and hold up as your community, but don't let voting for your dollar be the only lever for change. This fellowship has risen the importance of questioning everything and really being critical of the systems around us. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Katie. Next up, we have Mohammed Malim with Epimonia.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Cool, awesome. I'm looking for the present button.
I think maybe if you go slideshow and then maybe an option over there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Katrina. Hello, guys. My name is Mohammed Malim. I'm the founder and CEO of Epimonia. I started Epimonia through a business competition at the University of St. Thomas. The inspiration behind starting this company was to change the narrative on how America viewed the refugee crisis and how the refugee immigration situation in the US. I want to support the refugees to no longer be a political problem, but a human one. We don't want any single person in the US to have the ideal that all refugees are terrorists or that all immigrants are criminals. We want to educate the American people so that they no longer believe the falsehood that refugees are a strain on the economy, that they are low skill and that they steal jobs from American workers. We want people to see refugees for what they are. So I started an apparel accessory company that produces high quality products that is made from recycled life jacket material. Epimonia is all about making an educational and economic impact. Because of this, supporting refugees is fully integrated into our entire value chain. After sourcing our material through a refugee supporting nonprofit, we employ refugees to craft our accessory and create our product line. We then reinvest 50% of our profits in initiatives that benefits the broader refugee community in America that focus on education and advancement. This is a good start, but it's only the beginning of our efforts. Since I started Epimonia in 2018, we have tripled our revenue growth from 40K in 2018 to now projecting goal of 450,000 in sales by end of 2020. This growth is based on social media marketing as we have seen potential growth, particularly on Facebook and Instagram. Social media has been a great platform for our company as we acquire more customers on a daily basis and create a funnel where customers can learn more about our brand and how they can make an impact through purchasing our bracelet and potentially becoming an ambassador. We have acquired more than 6,000 customer base right now, and that list is growing every day. Over the years, there were several things I've learned throughout the process of running this company. One of the things was expanding our bracelet line, as it was one of the main products that customers acquired the most. We have released 4 bracelets that each support refugee initiative. For example, the orange one supports job training, the red one bracelet supports helping apply for the US citizenship application for refugees, and the blue one provides scholarship for young refugees to attend college. Another interesting insight that I have learned was the college program. The ambassador program started as the Campus Champions program with the goal of encouraging its ambassadors to fund community service chapters on their campuses to help refugees on their campus and surrounding areas. I was able to travel and speak over 30 universities in the last 2 years, and that encouraged young college students to start college chapters in that school. And I'm grateful to have over 15 plus college Epimonia around the US. I'm grateful to participate in the FINNale Fellowship. I have grown as a leader and provided me with exceptional skills that I can use in the real world. This last 9 months was an absolute experience for me and my company. I've seen growth professionally and in my business, and I'm grateful to be part of this amazing cohort. I'm now ready to take on new challenges in the world and lead a team with compassion, integrity, and empathy. How you can help us and how you can partner with us. We've always seeking innovative new ways to make a difference, and that's where you come in. We've already thought of several great ideas for our partnership. There are 6 ways that you can participate. Help us raise awareness by stocking and displaying our products in your retail location if you have a store. Outreach initiative, team up with us and promote your outreach, invest and build a relationship to expand new markets. If you're a fashion or apparel line company, create new products with us and promote awareness of the cause using our recycled life jacket material. And if you're a nonprofit, you can use our bracelet as an incentive gift. for your loyal customers, employees, or reach a goal, and social giveaways to promotion and to generate traffic to our website and spread awareness. Thank you for listening to my story, and if you have time, please follow us on our social media at Epimoney MN, and if you haven't bought one, make sure to purchase a bracelet at www.epimoney.com. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mohammed. Next up, we have Lindsay Calvin. And just a reminder to everyone, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box, and we will have a moderated Q&A panel with all the fellows at the end. Take it away, Lindsay.
Okay. See if I can make this bigger. That's better. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Calvin, and I am here to share with you the story of Identity Health and how I inevitably failed as a founder and the lessons I've learned over this last year. And if I have time, I might even get to tell you what I'm doing next. So this whole adventure started when I accepted a fellowship with the Earl E. Bakken Medical Devices Center at the University of Minnesota. I was tasked with finding an unmet clinical need and developing a medical device that solved this need. And I was to find this problem by following doctors, surgeons, nurses, interviewing them, talking to patients, and finding something that really called to me. I ended up working with a plastic and reconstructive surgeon at the university who specializes in gender-affirming care. And with his insight and my engineering, we innovated a product to help prevent complications following gender-affirming surgery for trans women called vaginoplasty. And he loved this device. I talked to a few other people. They loved the idea behind the device. They were like, yes, do it. So I made this great business plan. I applied to pitch competitions, and I was winning, and I kept winning. So I was like, this is great. I applied to a National Science Foundation grant, and they gave it to me. I was on top of the world. I was amazing. My company was amazing. My product was amazing. There were no chinks in my armor. We were going to go all the way. And then I started asking the hard questions, the questions I didn't actually want answers to. And turns out, to get this device to market and to get through all the clinical trials that the surgeons were asking for, it was going to cost me over $500 million. This is a niche market. There was no way I was going to be able to raise that much money. Investors need 8 times their investment, return on investment. They were never going to get that from us as a company. On top of that, my customer, the surgeon, didn't actually want the device for a variety of reasons. It just wasn't for them. And especially if it cost more than $1, they were never going to buy it. So I did the smart thing and pivoted to selling directly to the patient. Except for I didn't start this company with the community. I came to them, hey, let me do this thing for you. People don't want you to do things for them. They want you to do things with them. And the issues that are faced by trans people and people in the LGBTQ+ community are more than medical. I did not have a solution that people were actually looking for. So me, by myself, looking at this 2-year journey that I've been on, realizing I made a lot of decisions without all the information. And all of the times I've really thought about having a co-founder and then was like, no, I don't want to share the equity. We're really, really bad decisions. So we closed. Still awesome, but we're closed. It wasn't the right product. It wasn't the right time. I made a lot of bad decisions or poorly thought out decisions. So what can you take from this if you're going forward? Maybe don't do medical technology. The FDA has really strict regulations. They are very expensive to get through. If you do get through the FDA, you then have to get reimbursement codes, which are even harder to get. Financially, unless you have a ton of money already, or you have a huge market that people are already interested in, medtech is not worth your time. But if you want to do it anyway, make sure you ask the questions you actually don't want answers to. The things you're afraid of hearing, that's what you need to hear right now, at the beginning, when you're getting started. You need to know where the roadblocks are so you can work around them. And if you find that you can't work around them, you know to stop before you keep going. If you're doing a social enterprise, be rooted in the community. If you want to grow with the group, you must start with that group. Have buy-in, build trust. Don't just come in and say, hey, I have this thing for you. At least that's been my experience, and I would just recommend that you work with the community before you start developing something for a community. Solo adventuring is definitely not recommended. Having someone to bounce ideas off of, to help make decisions with, it's really important. Being an entrepreneur is hard. It's a lot of long days and late nights and tough decisions, and doing it alone means that you don't have anyone to check you. And I guess my last big piece of advice is check your hubris at the door. You need it in order to even consider being an entrepreneur. But once you've made that leap that you're doing this, ask for help all the time. Ask the questions you don't want answers to. If you think you know everything, go back and talk to more people, because you definitely don't. So I had a great time in the fellowship this year, even though my company ended. If it weren't for the fellowship, I wouldn't have had the time or the space to realize all of the errors I'd made along the way. From here, I actually just today accepted a job at a merger and acquisition firm doing business development. So if anyone wants to talk to me afterwards about literally any of this, please feel free. Thank you for your time.
Great. Thanks so much, Lindsay. Next up, we have Nestor Gomez Jimenez and Liddy Solar.
Hi there, everyone. Can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, my name is Nestor Gomez Jimenez, and I'm the founder and CEO of Liddy Solar. We're a solar technology company focused on changing the way people consume and use renewable energy. But why do we do this? Primarily because we're facing a global climate crisis that, without being checked, can have dire consequences in the way of life. For millennia, we have seen CO2 levels never reach what we're seeing today. And that right there will affect our species. For example, by the year 2100, it's expected that over 50% of species will be extinct if we don't do anything about climate change right now. Our food systems will also be in danger due to drought and changes in precipitation, as well as, additionally, there are also disparities in exposure to air pollution particles. Studies show a positive correlation on your socioeconomic position and the link to a higher premature death due to increased toxic air particles. And people of color are more susceptible to those dangers. So we need to take action now. And our opportunity at Liddy Solar is to fight and challenge the effects of climate change by making renewable energy, solar energy, accessible and equitable. So far, we have begun to install solar energy systems across Minnesota, and we have become the only solar shingle installer in the Midwest. However, that has limitations. Only about 77% close to 77% of Americans cannot host a solar system on the roof. That's because of shading from trees. They live in condos or rentals, and ultimately their roof may not be suitable. So due to our expertise of being a solar installer, being in the front lines, and also understanding software to be used as a force multiplier, we have an opportunity to activate a new solar consumer and create choice in the marketplace. And that new solar consumer is renters. We're planning to release a shared solar service offering effortless subscriptions to shared solar to anyone with an Xcel Energy who is an Xcel Energy ratepayer. With this, we can halt climate change through the use of solar energy. With over 340,000 active renter-occupied housing units in the metro area, we can help avoid around 6 tons of CO2 emissions per year per subscriber. That's about 11 round-trip flights from Minneapolis to San Francisco. And over the course of 25 years, the life expectancy of solar panels and a subscription, you would avoid around 243 tons of CO2. We can also save subscribers over $8,000 in the course of 25 years. And we can also help create good paying jobs and empower our communities through the construction of community solar gardens. In the course, if we were to activate all of these renters, the 340,000 renters in the metropolitan area, we can help avoid, close to 83 million tons of CO2 emissions. And we can help save $2.7 billion in the course of 25 years to these communities. So far, we've been a solar installer for now. However, we're pursuing a future in software to really scale up. We've been in business for 2 years. We started with $3,000 and we've grown dramatically since. However, our big picture is really to transition from a solar developer to a digital energy management company. Our next steps are to launch our S3, our shared solar service digital platform that targets renters, and integrate rapidly changing technologies into our suite of services and help electrify the transportation industry. FINNovation Lab, or the FINNovation Fellowship, has been amazing. And one key takeaway that I can say surely has been incredibly beneficial is the community that it offers. It's been amazing. Entrepreneurship is really hard, and it's even tougher when you're doing it alone. And the fellowship has allowed me to be in community with 8 other fellows that have been amazing to work with and learn from. So feel free to join our shared solar waitlist at liddysolar.com. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Nestor. Next, we have Judd Grutman and Von Zella.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Judd Grutman, the founder of Von Zella. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you and to have been a part of this cohort. I moved to Minnesota on a quest to launch bail insurance and help everyday Minnesotans stay out of jail. It's been an unpredictable and challenging time, but if recent events are any indication, I think we're on the right trend, and now more than ever is the time to get behind our solution, because the bail system takes a village to take down. This has always been about solving the cash bail crisis in America, but over the course of this fellowship, cash bail has become not just a gateway to mass incarceration, but also to a potential death sentence. We know that the majority of hotspots of COVID infection in the US are correctional facilities. And despite all the rising costs of pretrial detention, we only have one solution in America for individuals who can't make cash bail, and that's a bail bond. But unfortunately, that's been a really bad solution for all of us, as it's left millions of Americans locked up in jail over the last few decades. But we see the bail industry's shortcomings as our opportunities, both as an opportunity to disrupt the system overall, but to build a loyal client base going forward. The bail industry has elected across the country essentially to serve bail bonds that are only $5,000 or more. And as a result, most people who are charged with low-level offenses have no recourse other than their own means, which is often too limited to meet the financial burden of cash bail. And despite ignoring about 70% of those who might need a bail bond, cash bail is still a huge business for the bail industry, generating about $2.5 billion in annual revenues. But we are looking to address that market that's been unsupported, which we think is just as worthy and, to be honest, is just as valuable. Like I said, I moved to Minnesota recently, and it was for this fellowship. I've been able to get very plugged in as I've moved here. I like to say I've knocked on everyone's doors, but it really has been an opportunity to develop a strong coalition and dig in with consumers, find what's most critical in solving this crisis to the communities most impacted, work with organizations on the ground who are addressing the crisis, and also build my network in the insurance industry, in the startup community here. And I even worked with local legislators to change bail data collection practices in the state, and also bail practices overall. The COVID pandemic has really changed our trajectory in many ways, but it hasn't slowed us down. We've recently completed a criminal justice program with Generator, and we're currently in development with Software for Good on an initial platform to use during pilot programming, which we hope to start later this year. I credit a lot of success, or at least progress, to the strong and unique coalition that I've built over time along with my team, which I'll talk about a little more after this. But we know that cash bail isn't just a sort of issue of financial means or wealth inequality. It's also about economic exclusion, insurance red tape, innovation impediments that make it really difficult to bring new products, particularly to historically underserved communities. But we're building a really, again, unique coalition, I would say, that makes it possible to de-risk our solution and break down the barriers needed to do so. And part of this has been building a team. I met Brad while conducting user surveys at a barbershop that actually Alicia, another fellow, took me to. And Brad is a workforce development specialist and sales professional here in the Twin Cities, and brings a unique skill set as a result of that, but also a unique perspective due to his history of incarceration. But what I've learned, and I think what the two of us have learned together, is that building a diverse culture can create change in and of itself. And together and with our coalition, we have developed a novel cost sharing model to help prove our concept of bail insurance. Cost sharing is an alternative to insurance that's actually taking off in the healthcare industry, but it enables us to test out an insurance concept without all of the red tape. And so it functions very much like insurance for low monthly premiums. Individuals, loved ones can insure a beneficiary, or institutions can fund their employees, for example. We're using a low-tech solution to help protect against cash bail. But we're really building a long-term solution for people, because what we really need is new markets and new structures. The current solutions aren't adequate, and the current markets are pretty destructive, and we need to do something different. And I think what I've really learned over this fellowship as I've gotten more and more plugged into the ecosystem here is that the bail system isn't going to solve itself or correct itself. And what we're here to do is to build a platform for financial resiliency and that changes the economic motives of the system. Right now, everyone needs, or the system needs, people to get arrested to make money. The prison needs to fill beds, jails need to fill cells, bail bondsmen need more and more people to get arrested, but we're changing that, and Vonzella is going to start doing that with bail insurance. So if anyone's interested, please reach out to me after this, and I look forward to the Q&A, and thank you again for this opportunity, and to everyone who made it possible, and to my fellows. Thanks.
Thank you, Judd. And then next up we have Jules Porter.
All right, hello everyone. I think, okay, there we go. Judd was still sharing, so I wasn't sure if I was able to. All right, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jules Porter. I am the founder and CEO of Seraph 7 Studios, LLC. Welcome to my awesome Be Epic presentation, which is titled A Shero's Journey. But first, I want to give a shout out to all the people in the audience who are absolute Star Wars fans, who see my background and who went slightly crazy on the inside because they love Star Wars. All right, let's get this started. So Shero's Journey is just like unlocking your swag. So Seraph 7 Studios, we basically make video games for the Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, but we do so much more than that. We also have an applied advanced work study program for high school students, and we have a program for students in grades 4 through 8. For that program, we're combining with local community organizations to provide kind of a summer gaming camp to teach kids how to code. And why that's so important, oops, sorry about that. So why that's so important is that right now in the state of Minnesota, and there's similar numbers all across the nation, but we actually have a median income for Black families here that's about $31,000 a year. It actually decreased by $2,000. Now in the video game industry, an entry-level video game programmer makes about $78,000 a year. So you can absolutely change a person's economic outlook just by teaching them the skills to code. Oh, and that $78,000 number, that is without a college degree. So as I walk you through this hero's journey, so those of you who are Joseph Campbell fans, you will also be extremely excited about this. So we have the call. We're going to talk about some of the supernatural aid, the mentorship, some of the challenges that I've faced so far, my rebirth, and also transformation. Now you're going to note that there are more steps in this hero's journey, but this is where I am right now, if you read Joseph Campbell, of course. Now, Seraph 7 Studios was actually founded during the civil rights crisis that occurred here in Minnesota from about 2014 to like 2016, and it still in many ways is continuing and has intensified. And during that time, I was a law student and an MBA student at the University of St. Thomas. And when I started law school, I was actually a little bit scared. One of the reasons why I went to law school was, like many of you, I saw the death of Trayvon Martin, and I saw the court case that followed. And I saw how this teenager was allowed to be stalked by a grown man, and that the grown man was not held accountable for it, and how that's such a trend all throughout American history, and how also I was powerless to do anything to stop it. If somebody were to kill my brother, if somebody were to kill my nephew, there's no way that I would be able to get justice for them. And that just seemed so wrong and unfair, and I wanted to know what to do. I watched a TED Talk by Dr. Artika Tyner, and in that TED Talk, she said that the law is the language of power. And I said, aha, well, let me go and discover this power. Now, while at law school, I was able to produce a course for the law school called Race Practice in the Pursuit of Justice. And I did that while a certified student attorney with the Community Justice Project. And what I learned when developing that class is that, hey, there's so many academic studies out there. I have no idea why anybody even doubts the fact that there are such vast economic and educational disparities in our nation, and especially within the state of Minnesota. Another thing that I discovered is that so many people build their opinions of other people outside of their community through media. And that's especially true when it comes to how many white people form their ideas of Black and Hispanic folks. And they use media that I had no way of controlling. It's television, the news. But guess what? There is one thing that I do have some knowledge of, and that's video games. And that's actually a form of media that, guess what? A lot of white people actually consume. I got a chance to go to Rome and I studied art law in Rome, and it was absolutely amazing. I went to the cathedral in Orvieto. It was my first time there, and I was like, why do I know exactly where I am? When I went to the Forum, when I went to the Colosseum, and I realized it's because I played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. That game is about stabbing people, but I learned my way around ancient Rome. It was ridiculous, and it was awesome. And I said, aha, this is another power that I have here that I can learn. And during my time as an MBA student, I used that time to develop my idea of a video game company to help address some of these systemic issues. And the other systemic issue is just the lack of representation, the lack of positive representation. The video game industry has been around for about 5 decades, and 3% of the characters are Black people. And guess what? They're gangsters, they're mobsters. They all have some level of moral deficiency. And that absolutely does affect the way that people perceive themselves, in addition to how other people outside of our communities perceive us. Now, what am I gonna do? I got this idea, I'm dual wielding these powers of the law and business, but I need some help. So that's when you go to the step of the supernatural aid. So that's when I formed a good network of mentors. I got a lot of help from the University of St. Thomas, so a big shout out to St. Thomas, but also the Finn Fellowship. Now, all these things helped me to step into that power and also to test that power, or my newfound power. And I was able to develop my website, learn art. So all the art that you're seeing in my presentation right now, this was all stuff that I learned how to do during the fellowship. If you would have seen me try to make a character beforehand, it was pretty laughable. So the fact that these are some photorealistic characters here, a fun background, I mean, this was all during my time at the fellowship that I was able to develop these skills. I was also able to learn how to talk to press, network, and I was just learning and doing so much throughout this fellowship. I mean, I really surprised myself with some of the things that I was able to create and also learn. Early in the fellowship, I had a dream, and it was about my grandfather. In the dream, he gave me a hug, right? But he used to always say that whatever man can conceive, you can achieve. It just takes a little bit of hard work, and you gotta be willing to learn. And so that's what I did. All these things that I was afraid of, learning art, learning animation, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit down, I'm gonna learn it, and I'm gonna do it. But it wasn't all easy, that learning and that doing, right? So that's where we get to these threshold guardians. Now, I love Joseph Campbell, but I sort of believe that he didn't talk to many Black women when he wrote his book, because we don't get to a certain stage and that's where we have our threshold guardians. We have threshold guardians at every single stage, like a boss battle to do anything. So I encountered a lot of doubters, a lot of people who said, what, a Black woman in technology, a Black woman who can code? But I thought you were a lawyer, I don't understand. And I was like, come on, Dr. Mae Jameson went to space in like 1993. So obviously Black women are in technology and engineering, and we are doing it. So I also encountered a lot of haters. There were trolls. When I started my Kickstarter campaign, a group of trolls actually shut down my Facebook account for a time. And it's actually still not fully restored. But the failed Kickstarter taught me a lot of things. In addition to that, I also put my hat in the ring for this list of fundable companies, or most fundable companies, that's ran in California. And I made it to the quarterfinals, but I didn't get to the semifinals. And the reason for that, they said that I didn't have enough money invested in my company. And I didn't have enough money from people in my network invested in my company. Well, I was like, well, I didn't grow up in money. I can't reach out to my grandma and ask for $4 million, right? And that kind of shows, this is one of the reasons why I am the first Black female video game developer to make a console game, because it costs a lot of money. And it's hard to get that money from other people, especially when people are just still confused about whether or not Black women can code. I mean, in the video game industry right now, only 3% of the programmers are Black, and about 5% of those coders are women. So a Black woman, that's maybe what, 1%? So I guess I am a bit rare, but I'm still here and I'm still, you know, doing it. So let's move a little bit into rebirth, because I had to rethink a few things after the failed Kickstarter, and especially after the most fundable companies list. But one thing that I didn't do is I didn't give up. I went back and I kept doing more research. I dug more into the video game stats, and I dug more into kind of maybe the attitudes, but not necessarily attitudes, but the way people were receiving me when I was presenting them with information. Like when I went to give somebody my card, a lot of times they would say, oh, this is great, I'll give it to my kid. And I was like, but I'm an adult giving my card to an adult for a business reason. So I think people didn't realize that the video game industry is actually bigger than television. The video game industry is bigger than sports. So it's bigger than football, and it's bigger than football. The video game industry is bigger than film. So it's bigger than Avengers Endgame, and it's bigger than The Godfather. It is the emperor of the entertainment industry, and I intend to be its empress. Now, when I realized that I need to correct some of the way people were thinking about it, I also realized that people have a certain misconception of even gamers. People think that a video gamer is a 20-year-old kid in his parents' basement eating Cheetos, when in reality, the video gamer is a 35-year-old parent who loves playing games not only for themselves, but also with their kids. They're 60% more likely to vote in the next election. And they're also 45% of video gamers are actually women, which I think a lot of people don't realize. The average video gamer also isn't white. And guess what the biggest growing industry is? It's the African continent. So by 2050, most of the biggest amount of population under the age of 25 will be on the African continent. And right now, you have about, even though the video game industry is $164 billion, $263 million industry is in Egypt, $216 million industry is in South Africa, $63 million industry in Kenya, and those are all without giving them players and characters and heroes that look like them.
Hey, Jules.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but just to be conscious of time, I want to let you know that we're going a bit over time, but if you want—
Oh, sure, I can move on to the end.
We'll kind of wrap it up and talk about next steps. So if you want to just do that.
Sorry, I was on a roll. I was getting upset about my Kickstarter campaign. I was getting mad. People have all these misconceptions and all these stereotypes and everything going on. So also with that, I also redid my marketing. So Brio marketing team has been a big help, and I got some great interns from St. Thomas. So one of my biggest transformation was just basically going from saying, hey, how do I get white guys to play my video game, to realizing that, hey, in order for people to actually play my game, I need to be my authentic self and I need to be my best self. And there is a big market of people out there who aren't trolls, who aren't haters, who are craving games with unique storylines and with positive heroes. And so basically, what I realized is I need to kind of step up as a thought leader, just like Hideo Kojima, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey. I don't need to hide my vision to be successful, because one thing I was trying to do was to be covert in how I basically put positivity into my games and heroes into my games. I can be very open about that and very positive about that. So when it comes down to it, I need to bring some Ella Fitzgerald, Alice Walker, Nina Simone, Bessie Coleman, Thurgood Marshall, Coretta Scott King, Napoleon Bonaparte energy to the video game industry. And that is how I will be an epic, dual-wielding, system-changing, level 9,000 Shiro. So the last thing that I wanted to make sure I said, even though I'm kind of out of time, is to tell my fellow fellows to go and be great. This is what my family said to me after my law school graduation, and this is what I also want to pass along to them. So if you allow me one thing, Katrina, I just want to show this really quick, because my playable prototype is actually releasing next week on itch.io. So I hope you guys check it out. In addition to that, there's also a I Fund Women's campaign coming up mid-July in order to fund my curriculum for the STEAM programs. So thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you, Jules. And we'll make sure to include your contact info and your website and all that in the follow-up email that we send out to everyone.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, well now we are going to try to play Alicia's video again, and hopefully it works this time. So bear with me here for a second.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alicia Price, and I'm the CEO and founder of The Price Dynamic. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you all today, but I'm very excited to share with you my presentation. So without further ado, let's go. Our belief at The Price Dynamic is that bridging gaps in communication between parent to parent, parent to school, and parents to social service can better meet the needs of single and co-parenting families, therefore giving children stable homes, supportive learning environments, and parents that are mentally and emotionally well. More than 1/3 of African American children under the age of 18 live with unmarried mothers. And that would be the story of my son here in this picture. I am a single woman, but I'm also a co-parent. And what qualifies me for this work is not my education, is not my professional background, as much as it is my personal story. And I want to be able to share that with as many families as possible as we've found success, and our son has just recently graduated from high school. Now, who can benefit from the price dynamic? Parents and families. We want to support them to parent across households and have effective communication skills. We want to also help educators and administrators meet the needs of these families when they walk in their door. How do you effectively engage these families and remove the bias that comes with being a single parent or a co-parent or a child raised in one of those households? We also want to partner with the workforce. Those individuals who are training around job retention and security, we want to help them understand the needs of co-parents. And we also want to advocate for co-parents so that they're knowing how to communicate what their needs are as well. In order to do this, the price dynamic has come up with the 4 C's to action to provide a holistic approach to supporting single and co-parenting families through coaching, courses, consulting, and court-ordered services. Now here's Myasia. She's one of our success stories I'm happy to share. She's a 26-year-old mother who has a son named Harlem, who's 2 years old. And when we met her, she was at risk for dropping out of school and losing her job, simply because she wasn't able to find stable childcare when her son was ill. We helped Myasia create a parenting plan, do some co-parenting coaching with her. Through role play, she was able to establish effective communication within her workplace, her school, and with her co-parent. And as you see this picture on the right, Myasia graduated and she's now an intern doing occupational therapy. Now, our progress to date. We've had a successful teacher coaching pilot. We have established partnerships with Hennepin County. We've done some market validation of an amazing product called Family Meeting Cards. And we've also created and grown our dynamic co-parenting group on Facebook to over 389 members. FINNale, we've reached the end of the race. I want to share a couple of my takeaways and my growth. Over the past 9 months, I've expanded my network of social entrepreneurs and thought partners. Want to give an amazing shout out to Barrio. Those are my people. And then also I've learned that it's important for me to discuss my work on a daily basis so that I can learn from the feedback, and it's just never too much to talk about. You got to get it out there and be good with what you get. FINNale to CEO, it is time. I'm so glad to be able to share that here in July, we'll be moving into our office, which is in New Hope. We're accepting referrals from Hennepin County. I'll be doing some marketing and branding work. And then very excited to share that I'll be piloting a database that helps co-parenting and single parents be in the driver's seat of their social service needs. Thank you so much for your time. If you're interested in supporting the price dynamic or learning more about what we're doing, our contact information is here below. And I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this opportunity. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of the presentations this evening. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey, well, good job, everyone. We are going to now move into the Q&A portion of the evening. So let's see here. If you all want to turn on your videos again, I will start asking some questions. Okay. All right, so this first question here is for Shannon. Someone asked, Do you have ideas for doing theater in a pandemic? And how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, we've really struggled with that. We believe that there's something really special that happens when you get people in a room together and have real bodies on stage. And so we've struggled with how to pivot in this time of pandemic. We are using a lot of this time to think about some of our systems and our kind of behind the scenes things and prep for the future, doing some grant applications and all of that stuff. We will be doing some panels and some workshops online. We, at this point, don't have a plan necessarily for doing theater online, but that might be something that we develop in the fall, but specifically to develop theater that is meant to be online and not just put regular theater onto the internet, because that doesn't feel right for who we are and what we're trying to do.
Thanks, Shannon. A question for Mohammed. This person says, I love how each color bracelet supports a different aspect of your mission. The college outreach program is genius as well. How much are the bracelets and how much of that cost goes back into the causes each color represents?
That's a great question. Each bracelet costs $40. I'll give you the price breakdown. It's $10 to make. $10 we donate for each bracelet. No, it depends on which customer want to purchase the bracelet. And the rest go to operation and whatnot expenses. So yes, but that's a great question.
Mohammed. So something for Lindsay. Someone said, Lindsay's honesty and self-reflection are refreshing. It would be great to hear more about what she's going to try next and how these lessons informed her future path. Lindsay, do you want to say anything to that?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you. When they first proposed that I was going to do a postmortem on my company in front of 60 plus strangers, I was not thrilled, but it ended up being a really good growing experience for me. So I, 4 hours ago, accepted a job offer for a merger and acquisition advisor development program. So what I'll initially be doing is using my entrepreneur experience to work on building the value for young companies so that when they go to be acquired, they're worth more than when they came to me. By the end of, during this program, I'll be earning a CPA certification, a CM and AA certification, and another one, I think it's a CBI, so many things. Learning all about finance, it's gonna be so fun. But I'm really excited about it. I think that some of my favorite things about doing a startup was talking to new people and learning about their ideas and kind of workshopping strategies to help them grow, and then utilizing things I learned from them to help me grow. So I think this new opportunity is going to be really exciting and right up my alley. And if it's not, then I'll do something else. But I hope that answers your question.
Thanks. This question's for Shawnee. How close are you to getting the cafe up and running, and what can we, or the group or people, do to connect you to the right folks to help with the next step?
Awesome, thank you. So right now I am just finishing the fellowship. So a part of the fellowship of the deliverables is to also have a business plan completed. And so I've done that. And then now I have a simplified model of my financials. So now I know kind of where I am as far as in terms of capital needed in order to operate, at least for the first 3 years of the business. So right now I am trying to kind of like figure out how I best want to go about securing capital. I'm not really interested in pursuing loans, as I know that historically Black folks don't really have the greatest luck with receiving loans when it comes to business and all of that jazz. So looking into maybe doing some kind of capital campaign. So folks who have experience in that world, I'd love to chat about the best way to do that, or if that's even something I should approach. And then, yeah, so I think that's probably the best way to support me in that aspect. So no, we're not up and running, but I have started doing some of the mentorship work with young women already, but the physical space is not yet up and going. So yeah, That's where I am.
Thanks, Shani. This question's for Nestor. Are there any upfront costs to the subscribers? And then follow on to that, is there any reason that the program can't be expanded to the rest of the state?
Yeah, so right now, Xcel Energy does have a program that allows third-party developers to integrate into their grid, and hence would allow people to subscribe to shared solar subscriptions. And right now we are targeting or focusing our program to be within Xcel Energy's grid. If, for example, I would say if other utility companies or cooperatives want to join or create their own community solar or shared solar program for third-party developers, we can absolutely like go in and speak and partner with them. However, let's see now. Yeah, that's about it right now. I don't know if I touched on all the aspects of the question.
That's fine. Thanks, Nestor. A question for Katie. What can consumers do to address disparities with minority farmers?
Here we go. I would say this is a hard question to answer right now during a pandemic, especially if you're immunocompromised and don't feel comfortable going to markets. But I would say going to the bigger markets in town. So the St. Paul Farmers Market and the Minneapolis Farmers Market, there's a huge number of minority farmers that really rely heavily on those markets for, massive traffic and crowded market spaces, lots of, money exchanged over the course of one day, and they're not seeing the same numbers as they used to. So I'd say try, if you feel comfortable, show up to those markets and purchase directly from those farmers. The word direct should guide you. So if you want to support minority growers, support them directly. Another great organization to support with your dollars is HAFA. They do an incredible job with Hmong farmers. They're located near Hastings, and they support Hmong farmers with land and then wholesale outlets as well. So if you're looking to donate money, that would be a great option. The last one I'll say is Big River Farms, excellent nonprofit that does similar work to HAFA. They have land available for minority farmers, and they support them in gaining access to market. So those are the three things: buy direct, and then if you have the ability to donate money to these organizations that are supporting farmers and making some of those leaps through the growth of their businesses.
Thanks, Katie. Question for Judd. Where did the name Bonzella come from? And then another question, have you talked with Minnesota Freedom Fund since they raised a bunch of money?
Sure. So first question, two-part answer. The first part of the answer is my background is as a lawyer, and I represented wrongfully convicted people. And the first client I represented was a man named Dwayne, who was wrongfully convicted of murder and later exonerated, and his mother is named Bonzella. She and I spent a lot of time in my law school work trying to crack his case. And the second part of why her name is the name of the company is that it's reflective of the support that she provided in solving her son's wrongful conviction. And also there is like a trend of humanizing insurance companies, but only with male white names. And so we have been trying to change that focus. The second question was about the Minnesota Freedom Fund. The answer is no, not since, well, the answer is yes, but not since their recent raise. My understanding is it's hard to make use of what they've raised for right now with other partners or other bail funds even, but we'll definitely do it as sort of the dust settles on that.
Thanks, Judd. Question for Jules. Do you have a game currently available to play?
Oh, man, it's coming right up. That's what I was trying to get to there right at the end. So the game that's in the works is called Ultimate Elder Battle Royale. And the prototype that I'm releasing on a website called itch.io is called Elder Battle Alpha. So it's just kind of a prototype version. And instead of putting a price on the prototype, I'm just kind of asking for donations to support creating the rest of the game. So it should be pretty awesome. And Ultimate Elder Battle Royale, the bigger version, when it's actually released, will release on console. So that'll be Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, and the new variations.
Great. Thank you, Jules. Let's see. So a question for everyone, or anyone that wants to answer. Someone said, it's an interesting mix of ideas pursued in the cohort. How did the cohort model support your growth and process? And then a kind of a tag-along question you could also answer is, what would make the FINNale process even more helpful to you as a young CEO? So how did the cohort model support your growth? What would make the FINNale process even more helpful as a CEO?
I'll take that one first, I guess. So the cohort model I thought was amazing. Like the fact that we all are working on totally different things meant that we were not competing with each other to be the best, right? It was, hey, this is something I'm working on. I'm kind of stuck. What do you think? And we were able to workshop each other's problems, which I thought was really helpful. People were pointing out a lot of my blind spots, which was my biggest issue when I was working by myself. And so I found that really helpful. The curriculum brought up a lot of new perspectives and viewpoints that I hadn't thought of before. The branding was amazing. All of these things that like I knew were important but didn't know how to do or didn't know where to find the resources. Finnovation Fellowship really provided that for us, and that was great. And what was the second question? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just if you have any thoughts, what would make the FINNale process even more helpful to you as a young CEO?
Oh, that's hard because I kind of ended my entrepreneurship journey. Someone else is welcome to chime in.
Sorry, I'm outside and the guy decided to take his trash out while I'm doing the presentation. But so the first part of the question of the cohort model is, I echo what Lindsay said, and also the fact that we have folks who have so many different experiences and backgrounds. So we have lawyers, we have video game makers, we have folks who like work in community nonprofits. I think that was really awesome to bring all of those different perspectives and experiences together. And also, like, naturally I'm an introvert, and so I'm not one to like go and ask, you know, for help or things like that. But because of like all the different personalities we have in the group, like they could also sense like, hey, you need help with this, or oh, I know this person, let me introduce you. And so it was always kind of a very friendly environment, and folks were always willing and ready to share their resources and connections with people. And it also just helps you like think critically about what you're doing when folks ask you those hard questions that you don't necessarily want to think about. So I like truly enjoyed the cohort experience and enjoy working in teams anyway. And then as far as the CEO pieces, I think continuing that monthly roundtable, I think like now we have to like, some of us will now, like me, I have to step onto the real world of things in this work. And so I think it will look a lot different for me versus like while I was in the fellowship, because I'm not up and running. But I think like once I'm there, like continuing to have that circle of trust will be important as Finn Fellows moving forward. So something like that would be great.
Thanks, Shani. All right, just because we are getting down on time, I just want to make sure this last question is asked. But someone asked, are any of you looking for interns?
Yes. Yeah. Particularly like marketing, PR interns. People interested in writing a lot.
I would say me as well. I have some interns right now for the summer, but I'll also be looking for interns for the fall and the spring, and primarily with interest in marketing, even some like animation, or actually working on the game. So that's a good opportunity for somebody to get some good hands-on experience.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, I think we will wrap it up. I will just share one last thing. But again, we will be sharing out contact information for everyone, so you can reach out to all the fellows directly and support them. And I just want to say, great. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you all for being here. This whole thing was recorded, so I'll share out the link to that recording so you can have that as well. If you want to learn more about Finnovation Lab and our other programs or workspace options, you can visit our website, fin-lab.com. You can email us directly, info@finlab.com, and follow us on social media. Our handles right there. We do have an upcoming opportunity for anyone wanting to explore a new business idea. We have something called a 2-day launch camp in partnership with a national organization called SeedSpot. So that is coming up on July 9th and 10th. You can learn more about that on our website as well. And then finally, we're also in the process of selecting our 3rd cohort of fellows, which is super exciting. They will be announced sometime in August, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, with that, I hope everyone has a good rest of your evening. And thank you all so much for joining us.
So much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay,